Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. I'm so glad to be here. It is our weekly live stream and my group Peaceful and Profitable Entrepreneurs. It's a beautiful day here in Charleston. We just had the first day of spring this week. It was pretty chilly, but that's kind of what prompted this live stream that I want to do. Today we're talking about how to spring clean and freshen up your business for more profit. So we'll dive into that in a couple minutes, but one thing I want to mention, I am giving away 2 free coaching spots this Friday. I'm taking a half day and taking the girls to go visit a friend in Columbia, so I'm not really doing much work on Friday, and I really wanted to open these spots to give some value. And I actually opened the spots for Friday, and then randomly out of the blue, someone was referred to me yesterday, and we had a free coaching call for them. And so that was really fun, and I love doing these. So message me if you want them. But it's basically Eastern time on Friday. There's one at like 9 or 9:15 and one at 10:15. So if you want those spots, be sure to let me know when we can get you one of those, because people just get so much value out of those. So I love doing them. It's fun to connect with y'all. The other thing is next week we'll be doing our monthly masterclass. So the one that we're doing, I'm looking at my computer. Let me pull up the name. How I pay myself 10K months, and 5 questions you can steal for your own 5-figure month. So something that I really notice when I work and talk with business owners is a lot of them really want support, but they can't pay for the support, but they can't do it all themselves. And so they're really stuck between like a rock and a hard place. And I totally understand where they're coming from, and I've been there too. If you know anything about me and my business, I've been in business for 7 years, and those first 5 years were really just me doing everything and just kind of like barely inching along and making some headway. But I really prioritize profit, and so I really want to share some questions and how I think of things with y'all, so that if you are in that situation, this will be just really supportive for you. So you can sign up. I'll drop the link below, but when you sign up, you get the playbook that is yours to keep forever. And then you'll also be entered to win a coaching call with me, and I'll be going live in the group, so we'll talk about it here together. So we will jump in. So what was it? Monday was the first day of spring. So around our house, we've been doing like lots of spring cleaning. Like I've been working out in the yard, and we pulled out spring clothes like over a month ago, and then it got cold again. So now we just have tons of clothes for my 3 girls, because it just keeps going back and forth. But I love spring cleaning, and I love just that feeling of like getting rid of stuff that I didn't wear this winter and pulling stuff out for the spring and getting rid of that. And I've been like putting stuff by the side of the road when the girls are at school, because I'm just like, get rid and purge and clean. So I think this is just a great conversation to have with business. I do want to say that I working with the clients that I have and being behind the scenes in so many different businesses, what I see work the best to get clients more profit and more revenue is to really keep doing the same things over and over and do it really well. So that means like going all in on a strategy, working something till it works type of things, and obviously test and tweak along the way. But really the key to being more profitable is just to like do something well over and over. And so sometimes like we're just wanting to create new offers, or we're wanting to try something new or change our business model or whatever. But like, that's really not how we create like sustainable growth. It might be fun and kind of give your brain that dopamine hit, but really like sticking with something, even though it sounds not fun and not sexy, that's really the way that I see businesses really grow and take off. So I just want to say that first. And this month, our business, we had not 1, not 2, but 3 client renewals with 1-to-1. So pretty much all of my 1-to-1 clients renew. I'm pretty much staying fully booked at this point. And so that feels really good, because my clients love the work that we do together. They love uncovering new layers, uncovering new levels. And so I just want to have this conversation with that caveat first, that like these successful like multi-6 and multi-7-figure businesses are not like constantly trying new things and like just totally like changing their strategy. Like they're kind of going all in on the same thing. So that's like important for me to say. Obviously I think consistency is key. I have a whole free call around that about consistent content. It's kind of one of my big things. So, while we're having this conversation, like going back to like picking and sticking your strategy, testing and tweaking along the way, but making sure you're really going all in on something before you just jump ship and try something else. Like, oh, I saw a class on, this, and so now I'm going to throw out what I've been doing and I'm going to try something new. Like, I think there is a place for trying new things, and I'm a big fan of stacking. But, that being said, it also doesn't mean we just run our business blindly, doesn't mean we just run it on autopilot. So that's the conversation we're having today. I always like to start with mindset. My framework is mindset, strategy, organize, implement. So the mindset piece of this is really big. And something that comes up for me is, my daughters are 7, 6, and 4. And when my oldest daughter had her birthday last August, my middle child, Marie, was just, had a really hard time with it. Like, she had a really hard time seeing her sister get all these new clothes for her birthday. And Marie just loves clothes for as much as she loves to get dirty and roll around in the dirt and everything. She just loves clothes and outfits and layering and changing. She had a really hard time seeing her sister get all these clothes. And so I said to her, when it's your birthday, I bet you'll get a lot of clothes too, if that's what you want, just put it out there, claim your desire type of thing. And she immediately went to her drawers and just started pulling out stuff. And she was giving stuff to her younger sister because she just kind of intuitively knew that if she wanted new clothes, she had to make the space for those clothes to come in. And I just thought that was such a beautiful place and a beautiful thing. She just energetically knew that in order to take more in, I need to kind of get rid of what's there. And if you know anything about manifesting or law of attraction, that's kind of one of the foundational pieces, is making sure that you have space to bring in whatever you're calling in, whether it's a new partner or clothes or whatever it is you want. Literally, creating space in your closet, creating space in your house for whatever you're wanting so that it has space to come in. The universe likes to fill a void kind of thing. So I think that's the first place to start with the spring cleaning, and kind of taking that mentality of we're not just changing everything to change it and burn it down and start over. It really comes from a place of releasing so that we can let more good in. So let me know if you have any questions about that. But by doing the spring cleaning, we can really get more clarity and get more focus. We can take a look at what's working well, what needs improvement, and really go from there. So at this point, we are March 22nd. We've been in the new year for almost 90 days. So this is just a really great opportunity to look at what did you start implementing this year? How is it going? What's going well? What needs to be changed? So that's what I love to have this conversation. I really love for you to look at your strategy and look at your data. So if you have started doing something new this January, you are going into the, 30, 60, 90 day mark. I remember my days. So if you have been going all in on your strategy and now it's going to the 60-day mark, really looking at is it working? And, are you going to keep doing them? So if it's working, what is going well? And, thinking about pouring lighter fluid on that. And then, if it's not going well, thinking about what you can test and tweak along the way. So that's kind of the mindset piece I like to think about, is doing spring cleaning in your business intentionally, so that you can create more room and space for new things to come in, and really evaluate what is working, what's working for you, what's working in your business, because there's a million things in the online space that will tell us oh, you need to do email marketing, or you need to do Reels, or you need to do TikTok, or whatever that is. But I'm a huge fan of doing what works for you and what works for your business. So if dancing on Reels or TikTok isn't your thing, then that's not what you need to be doing. So figuring out what is working for you and what you're going all in on. So that's the mindset piece of this first. And so as we're going into strategy, I've got, of course, my notes here. But when we're talking about spring cleaning with your business, and specifically from the strategy piece of it, I kind of felt at first there were 100 things that I could talk about, and I could just list a ton of things and spew those out to you. But I wanted to keep this concise. I wanted to keep this to, be very small action steps that you could take, because I see that to be the biggest movement, getting kind of these 1-degree shifts are what get the biggest results. And so instead of giving you a million things, I really wanted to look at this from the perspective of the sales process, because I think that is something that we can always work on, no matter how far along we are in business, whether we're new, whether we're seasoned with like having these $1 million businesses, and we're still kind of like looking at the sales process, testing and tweaking and seeing what we can do. So specifically with strategy, we're going to dive into the sales process. And in April and May, I have some really good master classes coming up. I'm already creating them. I'm really excited about them because they are really supportive for the sales process. So we'll dig more into those in the upcoming months. But just right now, like, look at your sales process, like kind of as an outside third party. Look at each step of their customer journey and see, is it still applicable? What I see people do a lot is in the beginning, they kind of just like throw everything in the kitchen sink out there. Like they're really like, okay, I'm going to do a freebie and I'm going to do an email list and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And like, they just have all these pieces of collateral that they felt like they had to create, and nothing is wrong with that. But let's just see like, okay, is every piece being utilized? So look at your customer journey and see like, okay, are they kind of following this journey? Is every step still applicable? Do I have kind of some outdated stuff that I don't really use anymore, I don't really promote, or maybe it's collateral that's been sitting there and like, getting the proverbial online dust because I just haven't utilized it at all? Like, look at what you've created or what you're thinking of implementing and just see how it fits in with that customer journey and that customer process. Especially if you have a high ticket offer. Something I talk about a lot is if you do have a high ticket offer, whether that's a service or a product, sometimes, if someone finds you and they're just starting at ground zero, going from that to your high ticket might be just a really huge jump for them. And so thinking about like, what's an easy next step that you can have for them along the way. Looking at the sales process and also thinking about like, do you have a process for follow-ups? This was something I did in my Monday metric and Instagram. And I think, I asked like ChatGPT what the average number of follow-up or what the average sale was with follow-ups. And I think it was like from 5 to 12 is like kind of when a sale can occur. And so with my one-to-one clients who are doing kind of these high ticket offers and need to do follow-up, we really try to bake into their sales process like 5 to 7 follow-ups. And it can be super simple, just something like a spreadsheet, and you're just tracking who you're talking to, where they came from, what the last conversation was, the date, that type of thing. So you can kind of like, maybe like I have follow-up Fridays where I'm following up with my, any bookkeeping or advisory stuff that I need, or any people I'm talking to who may potentially work with me, and doing that follow-up Friday and just looking at that spreadsheet and seeing, okay, when was the last time we talked? Kind of like, where did we leave the conversation? What can I do to kind of like start the conversation again type of thing? So it just doesn't have to be anything complicated, but think about how do you bake that into your week. So it could be a certain day that you do follow-ups. Maybe you track it in Excel, like whatever works for you. Just think about like looking at your sales process and make sure that that's not dropping off right there. I feel like we could do a whole nother live stream about follow-ups, and maybe we will, but I'm not gonna like dig into that too much right now because there is a lot of mindset stuff that can come up. And if you have any questions about that or any mindset stuff, please let me know and reach out. But really looking at how that sales process is baked into the follow-up is baked into your sales process. Another piece of the strategy side of the sales process is, do you have a process for testimonials? That is key and that is huge. And if someone loves your work, they still might be a hard person to get a testimonial from because we are so busy. It typically takes a lot of follow-up with the, testimonial, and to not make yourself wrong, but really just treat it almost like we do the follow-ups for potential clients, is looking at what is your process for following up with people who have worked with you. And maybe you do the follow-up, maybe a VA does the follow-up, just having that baked into, okay, once we've kind of worked with someone, here's kind of the offboarding process, and having almost like a template set up where it's like, okay, you can have it laid out and worded however you want it, and then, kind of have that as your jumping off point so that's kind of 80% there, and then you can tweak it for them specifically. But, having like an easy guideline for them, like, hey, You know, here's some questions to get you started. If you'd like to leave us a Google review, here's the link. Like, just making it really easy for them, because people are so busy and they want to leave you a good review, and sometimes they just want to think about it so much that they just end up not doing it. So giving them like a really easy jumping off point, specific questions to answer, you know, a link to leave a review. We do a Google link, and then for a while, when I was building up my Pro Advisor profile, I would do like the Pro Advisor site, because you know, that is kind of the thing with links, is that like it'll only go to that one specific link. Like, it's not like you can leave a testimonial across every platform, but really thinking about like, okay, if they do leave a Google review, then what's the process after that? Like, after they do leave you a testimonial, like, are we sending you a thank you? Are we sending a little gift card or something just as appreciation, so that that happens every time? And you can even have it on the spreadsheet. Like, okay, we requested it this many times, and maybe after a certain number, you are kind of like, okay, I'm going to let it go. Or, you know, then having the dates of like, okay, they did leave the testimonial. Here's how we're going to use it. And then here's kind of the thank you piece that goes with it. So think about that in your sales process too, because the follow-ups and the testimonials are just kind of like low-hanging fruit. Like, they're just there, and it's just our job to just keep going for it and, you know, reaching out to them, because people are just so busy. So let me take a sip of water. And I know we have people who catch the replay and that are jumping on this late. Feel free, leave comments, leave your questions. I always like to do a special giveaway, so if you join and ask anything, then you'll be entered to win. So the other piece of strategy is, after looking at the sales process that your potential client goes through, and kind of after they buy from you, look at your website with fresh eyes. And so I am not saying redo your website. That's one of those things that I see a lot of business owners spend a lot of money and a lot of time constantly redoing their website, because their brain makes them think that they're doing something in their business, but really it's not. Like, going out and talking to people and connecting with people would be better time spent than like spending thousands of dollars to redo their website again. Obviously, like, we want it to be like, I'm like, good is good enough. So we want it to be like, not like a piece of trash, but you know, you don't need to like constantly think that like, oh, I need to redo it all the time, or I need to update it with all these branding photos all the time. Look at it with fresh eyes in terms of what you're selling, and make sure your website points to that 100%. Maybe even get an outside perspective. Like, that's something I do with my clients. Like, I'll look at their website and give them feedback if that's what they want. Even in my own business, like, I kind of looked at my website with fresh eyes, and it's very well done. You know, the website girl did a great job, and she maintains it monthly. And one thing that I realized is like, my homepage just really was kind of losing people. Like, I had the Google Analytics data to show that. And so what I did was kind of promote my free call first and foremost, so that people know like the easy next step is to get a free call, get on a free coaching call. That's typically the way people connect with me the most. Because just going to that homepage of like, who is Jordan and my background and what I've done, like, people were still kind of confused. They weren't taking the next step. And so look at your website with fresh eyes, not from like a, what do I need to fix? And this doesn't work with this, you know, when we just need to throw the whole thing in the trash. Like, really look at it as like, okay, if I was showing up to this website for the first time, and I maybe was interested in this person, or maybe had been referred, or maybe saw something online about them, like, what is the next step that I'm going to do? Because if we bury it in our website, like, okay, under services, under this tab, then I have a link for you to do this call to action. Like, let's just put it front and center as much as you can to make it just like an easy thing for them. So, you know, also review the navigation, you know, review the checkout process. Like, if you're selling things online, make it easy for someone to buy it online or to book a call on there. Like, literally log in on your computer, log in on your phone, make sure it works. That's just such a simple thing, but something that, like, if I go to a website and I get like a 404 error or whatever it is, it's like, I'm kind of gone. Like, if that link doesn't work, you know, I'm not going to really take the time to like reach out to them and let them know this link doesn't work and how do I get a new link? Like, they kind of just lost it. So really think about looking at that. And then also, this goes back to the testimonial piece. Like, are you sharing those on your website? That's just such an easy place to have that booked. you have them on social media and you share them there, but then also just kind of having like your website is yours, like a social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, they could all kind of disappear tomorrow, or change, or just promote different things in different ways, but your website is yours. And so that's where it's so important to think about, like, okay, with your testimonials, like you could have just like a huge bank of them there, and then you kind of take one and repurpose them for social media posts. So that's just kind of my thought process for those, for testimonials, because people love seeing, we love that social proof. And so making sure that you've got that and that you're sharing it, not that you just collect it, but you are sharing it in multiple platforms in multiple ways. And then looking at your content and your branding. So making sure that your content is speaking to the next step. So if you are constantly like promoting and selling different things, it can be kind of confusing for your audience, like confused buyers don't buy. So making sure that you're really going all in on one thing that they can buy, or one thing that they can purchase, or the next step. Like I go all in on my free calls. I'm either promoting free calls or a master class. Like I'm not promoting my intensives and I'm not promoting my one-to-ones. Like it's literally just like alternating between those two. So I really invite you to look at that and making sure, like, okay, am I maybe like selling this thing, but I'm selling this thing over here, and then I've got this freebie over here, and then this free call over here. Like really just figure out what your strategy is and go all in on that, and make it easy for your people to know like exactly what you're promoting at this time. Look at your profile. So this is going to social media. Look at the picture, look at the tagline. Like, does it need to be freshened up? Sometimes we kind of up level in our business and kind of hit the next level, and we forget to like give ourselves credit for it, especially in like the tagline and the bio. Like if you did hit multi 6 figures, or if you did hit 7 figures, like making sure you're putting that there. Like it's such an easy, simple thing, and something that I have to like remember to do myself. Like I try to do it. I think I did it recently. I can't remember, but I have to go back and check. But just making sure that like your tagline, your profile is up to date. I think that's just like an easy lift. And again, we kind of talked about this, but making sure that the links are relevant, make sure that your selling and your current offers are relevant. I know for some people that have kind of like funnels and email funnels, and maybe they've had those funnels for years, and I've seen them have the same email even though they were fully booked, but they're promoting like getting on a free call, or they're promoting their spots. And so it is a little confusing for the buyer because those spots aren't available. And on the business owner's end, it would take, time and money to change all of that. So it's not really like worth it to them to be like, okay, like spend all this time and money to like change a few things in an email sequence. So that's one of those areas where, since we're not working one-to-one together, I can't tell you like the right answer, but to just discern for yourself, like, okay, is this worth changing all of this in the funnel? Or is it just something that like, yeah, at one point maybe we will, but right now it's just not a priority. So, looking at that, and obviously if it's something big, like some kind of product or kind of some service that you don't even offer anymore, like then, like maybe changing it or figuring out like, how do we navigate that? Like I realized with one of my email sequences, it was promoting a free call that was the one before my free, consistent content for consistent 5-figure months call. And I was kind of like, I mean, if it's an easy change, I'll do it. But otherwise, like, it's kind of okay. If they book one of those, strategy to scale calls, like it's totally fine. Like we can talk about the same thing. So it's not like this huge, like, oh my gosh, I need to get the VA to go in and do this and change this. And how many hours is that going to take? And it was just kind of like, from my end, it wasn't really a big deal. But looking at what's important for, your potential clients and making sure that that is all relevant and that it works. Kind of the big takeaway there. So, some water. Now we're moving into like the organized piece. So we talked about the mindset piece, talked about strategy with the sales process. So again, let me know if you have any questions, if you have anything specific you're wondering about. But I really like to take that perspective with fresh eyes, and not to make yourself wrong or to be like, we need to burn this down and start over, but just seeing like, what are the little tweaks along the way. Something I didn't mention that just came up for me is objections. So if you are, hearing objections from potential clients, that is great data for you to use in your business. So that's something you can take and you can update, on your website. Like, it's probably really easy for you to log into your website and just kind of change some of the copy just to add that in, especially if you're selling something and people are putting it in the cart and then they're not going on to buy it. Just looking at like, okay, well, I'm hearing these objections. Let me go ahead and speak to them right here on the landing page. So people can go ahead and you can like talk to their objection right there instead of them just having to deal with it and then maybe not buying from you. But you can really support them like, yeah, I hear you. I see you with this objection. And, this is still probably a good choice for you when blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever that is for you, but taking that marketing, taking that data that you're getting and updating your copy, frequently with that, because that is just so powerful. So the organized piece is for me kind of looking at who you're working with. So again, this isn't like a clean house type of thing, burn everything down, but looking at the team that you have and looking at the clients that you're working with. Sometimes, I'm not saying like, get rid of everyone or anything like that, like not at all. But if I'm talking about this and someone comes to mind, that's usually a good indicator that it may no longer be a fit. So it might not be aligned anymore in terms of like the work that you're doing for a client or the work that a subcontractor is doing for you, like whatever that is, just thinking like if anything comes up right now as I'm saying that, then that's kind of an indication that there might be something that you could kind of potentially do. And maybe it's not letting them go. Maybe it's just kind of changing the services that you provide to them, or coming to them with like your new updated pricing or services, having just kind of like a real conversation around like, this is kind of what I'm doing. This is what we're doing for you. Like, how can we navigate this so that, my services align to what you need, kind of thing. Same thing for team members. Maybe they are really good at something and you need to move them, kind of to do that one thing versus everything they were doing. Like, whatever that looks like, think about how you're organizing who you're working with, because that can make such a huge difference. Not only in your business, like literally if you're paying someone for something and they're just like not doing a great job and you have to go and redo it, like that's just money you're spending for no reason. Or a client that's just maybe kind of a drag and you don't really want to work with them, but you don't want to turn down money. Like that energetically, when you free that up, it just feels so good. It's kind of like me taking, these rusted dump trucks to the side of the road that my kids don't play with anymore. It's just like, it feels very free and kind of feels lighter. And so just thinking about your spring cleaning in that perspective too, can be really helpful. And then also, like, I love Facebook groups. I have a video on using them to get clients. So if you want that, let me know and I'll send it to you. But I think they're great for creating connections and maybe looking and just kind of scrolling through and seeing like, which ones am I in? Which ones are working for me? Which ones do I feel aligned with? Are they still the right groups? Maybe looking around, maybe some new ones have formed, or maybe Facebook is kind of feeding you new ones. Maybe trying a new group and introducing yourself. I was in some bookkeeping groups for a while and just had to get out because the people who ran them were just so skeezy to me. Like, it was wild, the kind of marketing tactics that they would do when people would be like, ooh, I'm in, and it just was bullshit. Like, I just can't believe that people are like eating that up. Like, oh, I've got like the perfect, sales, what is it? Not sales template, but sales script for you to use. Like, DM me if you want it. And just people are like eating it up. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So, got out of those. And so I think it's just a great time to like kind of reevaluate the groups. Like, are they still a good fit? And if you aren't posting in groups, if you have your VA or somebody doing it for you, maybe looking and asking them like, hey, you're my eyes and ears in these groups. Like, what do you see working or being beneficial to me? Or have you seen new groups that would be beneficial? Or, how are the people in this group? Like, is it still a fit? Even if you're not physically, dropping your post into the groups, just kind of talk to them about, them being your eyes and ears and maybe finding something that's a new fit, because there's just, and I'm so grateful y'all are in this group. Like, I think there's just so many, Facebook groups out there. And so finding the right ones that really feel good, and feel like your community can be so important. And if you're showing up in groups like those bookkeeping ones I was in that just felt like icky, like I literally just felt icky being in them, getting out of them just felt really good. you know, like even if like, okay, these might be my people and they should be my people and they should be people I should like to work with, but like it just felt gross. So that might be an extreme example, and hopefully you aren't experiencing that, but thinking about Facebook groups and reevaluating those. And just thinking about like spring cleaning really is this time for growth and transformation. For those of us who are parents, you know, this is kind of the last hurrah before summer. You know, like my girls, 2 of them finish up in May. My youngest is still considered daycare, so she goes through the summer. But the other 2 are going to be out in May. And so it's like spring cleaning needs to like get it together. And I don't cuss a lot, but it's like I have to have my shit together before they're out for the summer. Like I need my ducks in the row before all this, you know, craziness happens, which I think this summer will be better. I've got it kind of planned out. You know, every summer I feel like I learn something new, and something I can do better the next summer to make it easier on myself. So I feel good going into this summer, but using the springtime to really think about like preparing for summer. And if you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, Jordan, that's not going to happen. I know a lot of businesses right now are busy. Some of them, you know, we're in Charleston, so it's, you know, wedding season and just a lot, you know, accountants, busy season. So if right now spring cleaning isn't like an option for you in your business, like totally don't take that to make yourself wrong or beat yourself up about it. Think of when it is a good time for you to do this kind of work. Every business I work with kind of has different fluctuations in their year. You know, some of the retail businesses, they are slow in January and July. And so like those months would be a great time to kind of reevaluate and do these things. So look at when you are kind of less busy, or, you know, when a good time to kind of reevaluate things would be. It doesn't have to be right now, like I'm talking about it right now because it's spring and it was the spring equinox, but do what's right for your business. And if you're slammed right now and you're busy and you're like, okay, I need to get through May and then I'll have a breather, then think about doing this. Then come back to this video, look at your sales process and look at all the things we talked about, because it doesn't have to be literally right now if you're in the middle of a busy season. I just think that for those of us that do have kids coming home for the summer, like this is kind of a busy season for us just because our clients are having their taxes filed and we want to make sure that we're supporting them with that. But you know, it's not that much busier. January is pretty much our busiest month. So like I wouldn't do this work in January. Like January is just like hold on and survive and, you know, make sure nothing slips through the cracks type of thing. So discern that for your business and see like when is the best time of year to do this kind of work, because it doesn't have to be right now. But just using that. So I hope this has been helpful today. You know, I really think it's so great to go through your business kind of from that mindset piece, kind of from the strategy piece, looking at your sales process, looking at the organization in your business, and seeing like what can be changed. Even if you don't want to do anything about it right now, like noodle on it and let yourself kind of acclimate to that. And then when you feel ready, you'll kind of know that best next option or that next step. So I hope this was all helpful for y'all today. I love spring cleaning and talking about this. If you're feeling like I'm just overwhelmed and I don't know what my sales process is, I don't know what the process is that my clients, potential clients may go through, I don't even know how to get in front of them or where or what to say or how to sell, like I totally got you. That's why I have my consistent content for consistent 5-figure months calls. Like this is so common. And I love talking to business owners about this because I've been doing this for 7 years and I support so many other business owners to do the same thing. Getting consistent is like the best thing that you could do for your business. We really are building a machine to create that pop moment, and consistent content can do that. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Sorry, I'm like choking. So I've got the links, you know, we post about it in the Facebook group pretty often, but grab one of these calls. People walk away with just like clear action steps that they can take. Because my brain is really good at like cutting away the BS. You know, I've built a multi-6-figure business in like part-time hours. And so it's really easy for me to create a clear, like streamlined plan. And so that's what I really support business owners, especially people who are creative and they're like, I could do this and I could do this and I could do these 50 other things. And it's like, okay, let's get focus and clarity, and figure out the strategy that you're going to pick and stick and go all in. And then we literally create the action steps around that. So that's it for this week. Again, we've got the masterclass next week, that how I pay myself 10K months, and the 5 questions you can steal to do it yourself for your own 5-figure months. I'll drop the link below, but thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week.